Tonight on NewsNight, find out what new language Pittsburgh-based company Duolingo is adding to their services. Also, we have more information on the attack on the Capitol that took the life of a police officer last week. We also have your weekly Pittsburgh weather forecast. All this and much more coming up on NewsNight. Good evening, I'm Carlo Andreassi. In our first story, it was recently reported that current Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador is deciding by doctor's recommendation to not take the COVID-19 vaccine. The president said, quote, "I have sufficient levels of antibodies and right now it isn't indispensable for me to get vaccinated for now," end quote. The plan Manuel Lopez had prior was to wait until all individuals in the country were over the age of 60 to get the vaccine first. However, with this new recommendation by his doctor, he will likely be one of the last world leaders to receive the vaccine. So far, Mexico has been struggling to get the vaccine out there to its people, with only 14.7 out of their population of 126 million so far receiving the vaccine. This current president has been accused of being irresponsible concerning the pandemic, refusing to enact strict lockdowns, calling them too, quote, authoritarian. He does, however, intend to promote the vaccine and to help speed up the process for Mexico's citizens to get the vaccine. The popular language learning app Duolingo adds to its catalog of languages, with the addition of Yiddish, which makes the 40th language available on the app. While this app is more commonly known for teaching languages like Spanish, French, and Chinese, it has courses that offer languages like Yiddish that are not as commonly used, like their editions of Scotic Gaelic, Hawaiian, and Irish. Duolingo's lead community specialist, Mara Awodley, said in a statement that, quote, "We're really excited that we're able to get into linguistic diversity, not only preserving languages, but also helping to teach languages that are kind of on the brink of shrinking," end quote. Coming up after the break, we'll have your national news and we'll talk to our reporters about what is happening with the COVID-19 vaccinations and more. Stay tuned. Recently, Governor of New York Andrew Cuomo signed a bill to legalize recreational marijuana in the state. New York officially marks the 15th state to legalize recreational use for the drug in a trend that seems to be growing faster and faster as time goes by. Cuomo stated in a tweet that, quote, "I just signed legislation legalizing adult use cannabis. The bill creates automatic expungement of previous marijuana convictions that would now be legal. This is a historic day. I thank the leader and speaker and the tireless advocacy of so many," end quote. So not only does this bill legalize recreational use of marijuana, but it also is going to set free every non-violent drug offender currently serving a sentence in the state. With Black and Hispanic people making up 94% of marijuana-related arrests in the state of New York, Mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, expressed his approval of the bill, saying that it's a step towards racial equality in his country. Last week, a Capitol police officer lost his life in the midst of an attack. Reporter Nick Konopka has more information on this story.
Nearly 2 months after the United States Capitol was attacked on January 6th, another smaller assault took the life of a Capitol police officer. On Friday, 25-year-old Noah Green drove a car into a barricade surrounding the Capitol, striking 2 officers. Upon crashing, Green got out of his car and, according to Capitol Police, lunged at the officers with a knife in hand. Soon after, the assailant was shot and mortally wounded by Capitol Police. 18-year Capitol Police Force veteran William Evans was killed during the attack after being hit by Green. Another officer who was attacked by Green is in stable condition after being transported to a nearby hospital. According to the acting chief of staff for the D.C. Metro Police, there may have been a terroristic motive in the attack, but investigations are still ongoing. Law enforcement was able to track down Noah Green's Facebook page before it was taken down by the social media company. On the page, Green posted that he had recently left his job and had been struggling through the pandemic. Green also made several posts pledging his support for the Black nationalist group Nation of Islam. However, in response to this attack, the Nation of Islam put out a press release indicating that Green was not yet an official member of the religious group. The Nation of Islam also offered their condolences to the families of the victims of the attack and stated that they, quote, disavow this act that resulted in the senseless loss of life, end quote. Throughout Washington, D.C., flags were ordered to be lowered to half-mast to honor the late officer, William Evans.
Have you been wondering when you can get your vaccine? Samantha Hyman has more information regarding that President Biden is going to get everyone their vaccine quicker.
Tuesday, President Biden announced that he is moving the COVID-19 vaccine eligibility deadline forward. His initial goal was to have all U.S. adults eligible for the vaccine by May 1st. However, he has now moved the date up 2 weeks, April 19th. However, the administration wanted to make it clear that although they will become eligible, that does not mean immediate availability. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki stated, quote, "That doesn't mean they will get it that day. It means they can join the line," end quote. This announcement comes as the U.S. continues to report high amounts of COVID-19 cases. Last week's total cases increasing 20% from 2 weeks prior. However, the United States is the first country to administer 150 million vaccine doses, which puts the president on track to maintain his goal of administering 200 million shots during the first 100 days in office. Many are hopeful this accelerated vaccination timeline will prevent cases from rising any further.
Coming up after the break, we have your local and regional news, including the weather forecast for Pittsburgh this week. Stick with us.
Forty 40% of food in the United States is never eaten. At the same time, 1 in 8 Americans is struggling to put enough food on the table. Before you let your food go bad or throw your leftovers in the garbage, think about your options. To learn more about food waste and how you can reduce food waste at home, visit www.nrdc.org/issues/food-waste.
In an effort to recruit more women and minority firefighters, the city of Pittsburgh has teamed up with its public schools to start a program which would aim to do just that. Firefighter Mark Black said, quote, "I feel great about them recruiting more women," Matthew Patrick, a teacher for the future firefighters at the Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire, says there will be a firefighting youth camp with a, quote, female focus, and that he is quite joyful over the fact that opportunities are being granted to young women and minorities in a way that wasn't around when he was growing up. The Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire expressed an incentive to break barriers in the firefighting field, allowing for more diversity that they thoroughly believe can be accomplished. This will be taking effect next school year with an easy-to-access application process for the program. The Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire are hoping to be pioneers in the way of diversity for the firefighting field. As we get further into April, the spring weather is showing itself more consistently. Are you wondering what next week will look like? Well, Nick Konopka has this week's forecast. Nick?
Thanks, Carlo. Let's start off with today's forecast. Today, April 10th, will reach a high of 80 degrees, with a mix of clouds and sun in the morning. The afternoon's looking to be mostly cloudy. There is unfortunately a slight chance of rain showers in both the afternoon and evening. At night, temperatures will only reach about 55 degrees, with those occasional rain showers. Let's look at the week. After today's high of 80, the rest of the week will drop into the low 60s or high 50s. We'll see some rain showers on both Sunday and Tuesday. The lowest temperatures of the week is 60 degrees on Wednesday through Friday. If it's not raining, the days will be mostly cloudy, but with the sun peeking out periodically throughout the day. That's it for this week's forecast. Back to you, Carlo.
In September of 2021, the first all-civilian space mission will launch. SpaceX's Inspiration is the first full civilian crew in history that will go into orbit. Of the four-person flight, the last two people were announced last week. Christopher Simbrowski, a U.S. Air Force veteran and data engineer, and Dr. Siam Proctor, a geologist and professor of planetary science at South Mountain Community College, were selected to be the final two aboard the four-person mission. The mission will be in orbit around Earth for a total of 3 days aboard a SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft. The two other selected persons were childhood bone cancer survivor and physician assistant Haley Arsenault, and Jared Isaacman, a billionaire businessman and jet pilot, who will be the mission commander. Launch is set for September 15th, 2021, and all crew members will go through intense training until then. That's all we have for you this week on this episode of NewsNight. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Carlo Andreassi, and from everyone here at NewsNight, have a great week.